Hi, everyone. We're Bob and Katie Adado with Crosspoint Church, and this is Marriage Stories. This is our opportunity to glean wisdom from another experienced marriage.
And this week we are proud and excited to be able to chat with Mathew and Carol-Ann Steinbacher. Hi, guys.
Hey.
Thanks for joining us this evening. We appreciate your time. So we are going to take about a half hour of our time this evening to just learn a little bit more about you, about how you guys met. You have been married,
43 years.
Yes,
Thank you.
there's got to be some wisdom there. So everybody put on those listening ears and be ready to take some notes.
Right.
All right.
Okay, so first question, how did you meet?
Uh-oh.
Okay. How did I meet?
This is her most fun story ever.
Well, I went to a small all-girls Catholic high school, and it was prom time, and so I had a date for the prom. However, he got sick and went into the hospital, and I decided I didn't want to go. So we were sitting in the senior lounge with a bunch of girls. I was telling them my story. Hey, you know, not going to go to the prom. I'm going to stay home. And one of the young ladies, Mary, says to me, well, you should go with my brother. He's really cute. You'd like him. So I thought about it, and I kind of thought about Mary and what Mary was like. And I thought, I'm not too sure about this. But she was so excited about me meeting her brother and going to the prom with him that I said, well, I guess even although I didn't know him, I would take the chance. Well, as it turns out, Mary and her friend, best friend, both of those ladies' boyfriends were in the Navy. So they were out at sea and they didn't have anybody to go with. So,
And I didn't.
I'm
didn't
sorry,
ask
I forgot. See, I would. Well, she went home to ask him if he would take one of her friends from school. And he says, no, I don't want to take one of your little friends. Well, anyway, he didn't know me, they'd never met me. So Jonna and Mary decided that they would go stag. And I thought, oh, that would be fun. So the three of us went stag, and it was the best thing we'd ever done. We had a blast. We danced with everybody else's boyfriends or dates, and they didn't like us too much, but we had a great time. Anyway, a couple weeks later, I finally met Matthew at graduation. Well, I looked at him and I said, thank God I didn't go to the prom with him. What a nerd.
Wow.
That was the start.
Yeah. So it's true. My sister did a bit of matchmaking, which we didn't realize at the time that she was doing. And she was bugging me about this friend that really wanted to meet me, and I did meet her at her high school graduation, you know, briefly, and so that's how and where we met.
Okay.
But sometime, kind of adding on to the story, sometime later when we had gotten together and we were going out. She got out her high school yearbook to show me a picture that was in there. And so while we had it open, I noticed my sister had written in the book, and she said that I was dying to meet her. And I said, wait a minute, is that what she told you? And she was like, well, yeah. And I'm going like, no, you were dying to meet me.
Okay.
And,
She
so
was
anyway,
a
at that
professional.
point, we figured out that she had set us up, but it was okay because we were already going out and liked each other. So
It worked amazingly well. Yes. So no career in matchmaking for her though. After this, was
No,
this
that
nearly
was
done?
it.
It
Yeah.
worked. She left it on a high, right? Like she couldn't get any better than that. Okay.
That's funny.
I love it. Okay, inquiring minds have to know Carol-Ann. So obviously we have many generations of people watching this. And I don't know what a senior lounge is.
Oh, well, at a small, as I said, parochial high school, we had a designated room that was just for the seniors. And so in between their classes or at lunchtime, we could go in there and just hang as a group.
So it's like a teacher lounge now, right? The teachers are the only ones that get it. Okay,
Yeah.
I was just curious. I had never heard of that before, so I'm sure there were others. Okay, all right. So you're matchmake, you're set up. So what's the first date? What do you remember? How did it go? Where'd you go?
Okay, so Mary was doing this thing and wanted us to get together. She kept telling me how her brother was dying to meet me. He saw a picture of me, thought it was great, and wanted to meet me. Well, I, on the other hand, after seeing him, decided I didn't want to have anything to do with him, so I kept coming up with excuses about why I couldn't go out on a date with him. So we went an entire summer, which is what, the 1975, and both of us ran into each other at college registration. And again, she
My
started,
sister.
yeah, Mary. And so then again, she started in with the whole, oh, Matt's really dying to meet you. And again, I was coming up with excuses of why not. So a few days later, I get a phone call from Matthew asking me to go to the movies. Now, I'm sitting there on the phone going, oh God, don't want to do this. But I was gracious and I said, well, you know, I would have to ask my mom. I was only 17 years old and I came from a very strict, old-fashioned family. So I went in, asked my mother, and she said, well, honey, you don't know this young man. So if you do go to the movies with him, Mary will have to go with you. So to my surprise, because I'm thinking, oh yes, what young American guy is going to want to go to the movies with his sister? Not. But when I got back on the phone, to my surprise, he actually turned to his sister and said, hey, you know, her mom says that she can't go unless you go with us. So Mary says, well, I got a date Friday night, date Saturday night, let's go Sunday. So on Sunday, we all took off to the movies. And, you know, I decided that, you know, he seemed like a really nice guy. So the next time he called, I didn't have anything to do, so I thought, why not? And 2 years later, we got married.
So I have to ask you, Matthew. So both of you were kind of initially like not really interested, right? It was just Mary. So what made you ask her to go out?
Well, actually, we were at my parents' house and we were sitting there and she was bugging me again and saying, well, you know, give her a call. She really wants to go out with you and all that stuff. And so that's what prompted the call, because I guess what remotivated my sister is they had just met. I didn't realize that at the time. And so anyway, we got chaperoned by my sister, and her mom didn't know my sister, which was probably a good thing. We probably never would have. But yeah, she was a sweet, you know, lovely person, and I admired her. And so we decided to go out again, and we liked each other. We went out alone after that.
Okay.
That was a big deal.
Okay.
And so we enjoyed our time together, and eventually, here we are.
Here we are.
There you go. 43 years
45
later.
All right. Yeah. All right. So you had said, Carol-Ann, that you went on your first date, your second date, and then 2 years later you got married. So the next question is, when did you first know that you were in love? Somewhere between that second date and the wedding, we suppose.
We kind of figured it out.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like the movies where there's an earth-shaking sort of experience or fireworks exploding or anything like that. You know, we dated, we spent time together, we got to know each other, we got to know the families, each respective families. I figured out that, you know, he really was a nice guy, I think. And that he was kind, he was caring, he was thoughtful, he liked kids, he was inclusive, loved other people. And so I just decided that that's probably who I wanted to spend my rest of my life with. Okay. And here we are, you know, 43 years later.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Was that the same for Matthew, or when did you feel?
Yeah, I can't remember when we first decided that we were in love with each other or anything like that. But the one thing about her is Carol-Ann was honest and loyal and, you know, just a good person, which was I felt a rare quality back in the 1970s. I don't know. Were you guys around back then? You probably were.
Yes,
So
we were 5 years old. Thank you.
you know, so we, you know, I liked her, and she was different, and she was from a different culture. I don't know if you know that she's from Jamaica, and the family, as she's kind of pointed out, had traditional values. So yeah, I really like that, those qualities about her, and that's how we really started growing and getting closer together. I look back over the years and all the stuff that we've been through, and I think now, you know, being in love with her in the 1970s doesn't have the same meaning as being in love with her today. And so, yeah, love is, as you go through the years in your relationship, it's just is constantly getting deeper and stronger. And that's what, at least that's what happened with us.
Okay.
And the things that we've been through, she's, I hope I have too, but she just displayed more and more love that is in her and in her personality. And so saying I love her today means so much more than it meant back in the 1970s.
Oh, that's awesome.
I love it. I love it. Okay. Impromptu question that's not on the list. You ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Do we have an engagement story? Do we have a proposal story?
You want to go with that?
Well, I we were going to get married, and we went out looking, hunting for rings. We chose the most perfect ring, we thought. And then he took me out to dinner at a place in Glendale, California called Shaker Mountain Inn.
I don't even know if it's there anymore.
I don't think it is there anymore, but it was a real awesome chateau. And so that's where he proposed. And that was around Christmas time. So it was kind of my Christmas gift.
Yeah.
There you go.
Very nice.
And then I had to go ask her parents. Somewhere in there, I asked her parents.
Yes.
I can't remember before or after. But,
They must have said yes.
Yeah. You
well,
got the thumbs up.
her dad looked at me and says, "What do you want to marry her for?" You know, she can't cook. And yeah, it was kind of funny. But yeah, they said yes. And 6 months later, we got married.
6 months. Okay. All right. So that lays out perfectly. So 6 months later, let us see what the big day looked like.
Well, at that time, we belonged to probably the second largest church in the world. That's Catholics that don't go to church on Sunday. And let me see if I can get that there. Okay, so
Wonderful.
we got married in a Catholic church in
Yeah.
Pasadena, and that was us.
There
Nice.
we go. Is that brown or black?
It's rust.
It's rust. That's a true 1970s color there.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, it was interesting for me.
I love it.
It was different. And I
Oh
yeah,
my
so
goodness.
it was, yeah, that whole thing of getting married in the church. Actually, she was Episcopalian, but went to Catholic schools, and I was brought up Catholic. And so the tradition in the Catholic Church is that you had to go through premarital classes, and you know, before you get married. And then also at the old Catholic churches, you had an altar rail that went across the front of the church. And so the congregation never went beyond that altar rail, just the priests and the altar boys. And when you got married, if you were a Catholic couple, you went up in front and you got communion and you did all of the full-blown thing, full mass. And she wanted to do that. And we asked our priest if he could do that, and he says, "Well, I'll check with the archdiocese and see if it's okay." And meanwhile, we had to go take our classes, and so you see an elder couple and a priest, and I don't know, a couple other people. And while the priest was up there, we got on this whole subject of taking communion and that, and her eyes lit up, and so she stood up and told the priest our situation. He said, "Well, I'd serve you communion," you know, which was one of the big hangups there. So So when we went back to our priest with our little certificate, we passed the class. He kind of sitting there saying, well, yeah, I'll check with the archdiocese, and the same line. And so my sense of humor, I have a real dry sense of humor. So I leaned into him across the table and I said, you realize she's willing to go to the Pope on this matter. And he shook the guy up. He, you know, he got nervous and he goes, I'll check on that right away. He said, I'll call the Archbishop and I'll call him and get back to you. And so we ended up having full-blown mass and communion.
Don't want to have to get the Pope involved if you don't have to. Oh my gosh, that's so
really
funny.
Seriously. But.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. All right. So now we understand the whole Mathew and Carol-Ann story of the beginning. So now we're going to just ask you some questions of maybe these are where we'll get to the more practical things that people might want to take some notes on and listen and learn really well. So the first one's kind of just a fun question is share with us a fun tradition that you guys have as a family.
Well, I'm basically a kid at heart. I love to dance. I love to laugh. I love to do silly things. And so being a kid, I love holidays. And one of my favorite holidays, of course, is Christmas. And one of the traditions that we have during that time, as a family, we get together and we decorate the Christmas tree. And so it's really special to us to take out the ornaments that we've collected throughout the years or the ornaments that the kids have made. And we decorate the tree while listening to Christmas music. And my favorite Christmas music is Christmas in the Islands. And when we're done, we indulge in hot chocolate and cookies. And we also always have a whole bunch of kids that come and join us for our Christmas decorating festivity.
Very nice.
Yeah, that's a great thing to look forward to. Do you agree, Mathew? Is that your favorite thing?
Well, no, that wasn't mine.
It's okay. We're all different.
I want to explain to you that, was it Christmas in the Islands? Is actually like Caribbean Christmas music, if you can imagine. So it's a little different. If you ever come around Christmas time, you'll hear strange music coming out of our Christmas music with a reggae beat or something.
Right.
I don't know.
Calypso beat.
Yeah.
Calypso beat.
Oh my goodness.
What I liked actually was Christmas Eve. That was my favorite thing because we would get together on Christmas Eve and read an account of Jesus' birth. So there's a couple of gospel accounts, and then you could also choose how much or how little of the story that you wanted to tell. So each year I'd kind of plan how we're going to tell it and how it was going to be presented to the family. And that way we weren't just reading the same thing every year. It's a little different how much we included and which version or which gospel we were taking it out of.
Yeah. That's smart. Keeps them on their toes and expectant, right? And paying attention.
So that was all our Christmas Eve thing, and kind of started Christmas on Christmas Eve. The other thing we did is we didn't have Santa. We didn't have Santa cards. We didn't have Santa decorations. We kind of decided early on that the first lie that kids always catch you in is when they find out that Santa's not real. And so we thought, yeah, we don't want that to happen. So we want to constantly have that trust and bond with our kids. So they would, if we went somewhere, I mean, Carol-Ann let them sit in Santa's lap.
We enjoyed
but
the
they
fun
knew
of
it was
Santa.
they knew it was a guy in a costume. So
Okay.
Yeah. They knew the reason for the season, and they were told not to spoil it for other children, and they got in trouble if they did that. So we were able to enjoy the festivities of Christmas, but yet know what the reason for the season was.
I like it. I like it.
All right. Well, we're going to switch over to a little bit more serious question, but that's okay because we all suffer through difficult times. So what's a Bible verse that's helped you through difficult times?
Well, there were two things that I thought about that came into mind. One was Philippians 4, verses 6 and 7. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And then Matthew 19, verse 18, it says that if two of you agree on earth about anything that they may ask, it shall be done for them by my Father who is in heaven. And that's something that I have truly appreciated all these years. And to be honest, I never really knew what the reference was. I just remember hearing it as years went on, and I latched on to those two prayers. And so for this presentation, I actually looked up the reference. So, hey. But, we've had wonderful experiences. We've been blessed. But in 43 years, we've also had difficult times that we've had to go through. And one of the most important things that has sustained our family is prayer. And we've been very blessed through all this. We have 5 kids, 4 girls and a boy, and 4 son-in-laws. And God has blessed us with prayer warriors, so that during our time, whether it's good times or bad times, we all get together and we go before God with our petitions and our requests. And we've also been very blessed with godly friends of those friends all over the world. We've been blessed with, at Crosspoint, with our small groups and at other churches, but specifically right now at this time in our lives, and our church family that have been uplifting us in prayer daily. We are going through some difficult times, down another difficult road, but God is blessing us, and we can see those blessings, and He's listening to the prayers, and we truly appreciate those prayers.
Okay. Thank you so much. That's very
Yeah.
nice.
It is the reason I don't have any hair.
Yeah.
That's the difficult times.
All right.
Yeah. All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you for sharing those verses. I hope that they're maybe for some young couples that are just starting out, that are looking for some verses to help them, whether it's a current situation or something in the future, that they'll take note and jot those down and be able to use those in the future. So we appreciate you sharing those with us. Okay. If you had to do one thing, oh, yes.
Your verse. Do you have it?
Oh, did you have?
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that you had, when you did 2, I thought it was 1 for each of you. I apologize. Go ahead, Matthew.
Sorry. No, mine is actually treat others the same way that you want them to treat you, which is Luke 6:31. And kind of the way we interpret that and live that in our family was, we had a rule in our house. We still have a rule in our house. And that is that each person has to make the other person smile. So that's quite a challenge for little kids, because they're always getting into it. And so, basically I would look at them when they're having difficulty, and I'd get them over there and I'd say, okay, this is our rule. You have to make each other smile. And I'd look at the offended party and I'd say, he or she is not smiling. And then I'd look at the other one and then say, you're not doing your job. And so this was quite a challenge for them to figure out, as children. Yeah. And it's something that we do with the grandkids today. When they come over here, their parents tell them, this is the rule when you're in grandma and grandpa's house. Yeah. So then they want to come back and tell you, but he or she did this to me. And I go, well, it doesn't matter, because they're not smiling and you're not doing your job.
There you go.
Quite a deal for them to figure out, but they figured it out, and they figure out how to get along. And it just goes right in. It's something that goes right into your adulthood to figure out to work with other people. But it's basically the same rule. It's a golden rule, treat others the way you want to be treated. So.
Yes.
Yeah, makes you put the thoughts on the other person and not yourself, which is our natural go-to, right? Yeah, I like that one. Okay, people, you're jotting those things down, right? That's a good one. Okay, so if you had to do one thing over, and I wasn't specific whether we were talking about marriage or just life in general, but if there's one thing that you could have a do-over, what would it be?
Sure. Well, I don't know that there's one thing that I'd want to do over, but there is one thing that I want to improve on, knowing what I know now, and that is to spend more time as a family. Our kids grow up so quickly, so fast, and this is our time, especially when they're little, to enjoy them and to mold them. I mean, everything you do, you can take some time to mold them. With my girls, we'd go shopping and we talk about modesty in the dressing rooms, and we had a wonderful time, and I was able to mold them that way. Another thing that we did that I would love to improve on is we had the opportunity to be able to send our kids off to do ministry in other countries for, so it was mission trips that were so worthwhile. They were life-changing experiences. What I would love to improve on, and what other people could probably do, is to say I would improve on it by making it a family event, because it would not only enrich the family, but it would probably help them to strengthen and deepen their spiritual walk as a family. So one thing I would say, okay, if you want to do something, make sure you do it now, because you just don't know what's going to happen in the future. Enjoy your kids. Take the time, do things. Don't wait till as he would say, when I retire. Well, not,
Oh, you're putting that on me.
because that doesn't always happen, and things happen in life. Take the time, spend the time, especially with your kids and with your spouse.
Okay, Matthew, your turn.
Well, I think what I would change is me. So, when you're young, you have a lot of energy, but you have little or no experience. And I actually enjoy, now that I have more knowledge and experience, but not as much energy, I kind of enjoy that better over the youthful energy and ignorance that I had. So I think looking back, I would try to not be as rigid as I was, and also I do more of the things that Carol-Ann and the family enjoyed doing. So I think I didn't do that enough, and I'm a slow learner, but I almost got it.
Almost.
Yeah, we're all slow learners, right? Yeah. It was a heavy question. It was a heavy question,
Right.
but I think it's good, right, for us
Yeah.
all to reflect. So again,
Good honesty.
yeah.
All
Okay.
right. Oh, my turn.
Yes, your turn.
Let's see. What is the most important thing for a wife to know? This is for Carol-Ann. What's the most important thing for a wife to know?
Well, through the years, as life went on, we got busy. I got overwhelmed. There was a lot to do. There was work. There was taking care of parents. There was activities. There was kids. Their activities. Their events. I was exhausted. I had 5 kids. I was running in different directions. And so it's so easy at that point to start to grumble and start to look at Matthew and say, you're not pulling your weight. I'm doing everything. I'm doing the carpool. You need to help. So I found myself, forgetting to be respectful, forgetting to be thankful, and forgetting to be more positive and looking at, positive side of Matthew. So my suggestion to any wife out there is that every day, take the time to look at something positive about your mate. And not only just look at it, but take the time to mention it. It might be something as simple as, thank you, dear, for going to work. We know you don't have to get up every day and go to work and take care of us, but thank you. Something like, thank you for taking out the trash. Or as he would tell me, that's romantic. You just take the time to be positive, and positive doesn't mean just your spouse. It can be your kids, your family. if you take the time to at least be positive towards someone, you find that it makes life a little easier and a little simpler. And for most of the time, they respond in the same way.
I agree. All right, Matthew, same question for you.
For the husband?
Yes,
For the
yeah.
husband.
Yeah,
Let's lose. Well, my line is, you've heard it before, a husband should love his wife as Christ loved the church. And it's keeping that relationship pure and keeping it honest, keeping the trust that you have between them. So temptations come along in life. But I look at it as that temptations are the opportunity to do the right thing. And I never had any trouble identifying what was wrong and what was right. I could always figure that out.
What was wrong?
But that's that choice you make. The choice you make when the opportunity presents itself of choosing either the right or wrong, that's what counts. And that's what will eventually, making the wrong choices is going to violate that trust. Once you lose a trust, it's very hard and sometimes impossible to get that trust. So trust is like gold in a relationship. It's something that you want to maintain through a lifetime. Marriage is a lifetime commitment. It's deeper than looks. It's deeper than personality. And marriage is genuinely having that trust and maintaining it. Okay, not a phony deal, but a real deal. It's at the core of the relationship. And it's valuable in growing your life together. So my thing is just never jeopardize that. Just always keep that relationship strong and pure.
very good advice. Very good advice. Thank you. All right, we got one more question. You guys have made it through.
Wow.
All right, last question. What's a small thing couples can do to keep their marriage fun and engaging?
Well, I seem to have a recurring theme going here, and that is spending time together. Be deliberate to take the time to spend together. Maybe just a date night. It doesn't have to be a night out on the town spending a fortune. It can be elaborate. It can be something as simple as setting up, once the kids are in bed, a movie, going for a walk, taking a bike ride, going on a drive, reading a book together. And I know when our girls, our older girls were little, we didn't have any money for babysitters. And it was hard to get out. And so one of the things that we did that was very simple was when Matthew came home from work every day for 10 or 15 minutes, we would sit together and talk. The girls knew that they had to take the time to just play by themselves. And it was a wonderful experience for them to see how much mom and dad cared for each other, that we took the time to do that. And so, but one caution, if you are going to do that, is to remember to set the timer, because you might get into talking and totally forget that you have
the kids. Yeah. What kids? What kids? All right, so Carol-Ann's is dating, getting out there, even when you're married, to still date and hang out and do things together, even if it's in your kitchen table for 10 minutes. Yes. Okay. All right, Matthew, tell us.
And, you know, she's a fun, exciting person, and basically, I'm boring. I'm the party pooper. Okay. So I don't think I've ever done enough for Carol-Ann all these years. But one thing is getting up and doing things. It's kind of along the same lines, but you know, I didn't dance, you know, but I would get up on the dance floor and I'd be pathetically out there next to her and hoping everyone was looking at her and nobody was looking at me. I didn't like musicals, but I would take her out and we'd go watch a musical and enjoy the evening. Didn't like crowds, but we'd go to large events and I would go to large events with her and stuff. Accompanying her to all of that. So things that I didn't necessarily like or want to do, but I knew was important to her. That's what I would get up and do. And consequently, she turned around and she would go to these hot, stinky, loud, smelly auto racing events, or she'd go tent camping or do other miserable things with me. So, you know, when you start doing that for the other person, then they start doing things for you. I don't know why she ever did that, but
mind you, my idea of camping, because that's how I was raised, was, you know, the Sheraton or the Hilton.
You had glamping before it was a glamping, right?
yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness.
That's
All
funny.
right. So fun and engaging is just doing what's fun and engaging for each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that, you know, we're kind of the odd couple. That's what I call us. But, you know, God causes opposites to attract. And a lot of couples don't, you know, they look at their spouses and they go, they're not like this or they're not like that. But if you figure it out and you learn to appreciate each other and respect each other, then as a couple together, you can, when you go into a group, between the two of you, you can relate to everybody in that group. You can talk to anybody in that group. And so once you learn that they can relate to the other half of the people that you don't really get at all, and you guys, you know, talk to each other and respect each other and appreciate each other, then yeah, it makes us together, we're just a complete
Complete circle. And we've had a lot of opportunities where, especially with Matthew's work, where we've had to do situations like that and be involved in events, large events. And so that has served us very well.
yeah, so don't reject the fact that you're opposite. Figure out how to use it and appreciate each other so that you can understand the other half of the world, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
God knows what he's doing, right?
Sounds
He
good.
knew.
last I checked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for taking some time to allow us to get to know you guys a little bit better, your story, and to grab some nuggets of true wisdom. So we appreciate you doing that for us.
Well,
Thank
we're
you.
honored that you asked us, and we want to thank you for letting us be part of this.
And we pray that what little we know it might be gleaned by somebody else.
Yep.
So that's our prayer, is that God can speak through us to help someone else.
Right. You will. No worries.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, it was great speaking with you. Thanks for sharing your life with us. And that's it for this week.
Yeah.
on Marriage Stories.
We'll see you guys next time.
God bless you
Bye.
guys. Thank you.
Bye.